This video contains information that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are a viewer and are triggered or shocked by images and need a warning prior to every clip or story being discussed, then please unsubscribe from my channel immediately. My channel covers the harsh reality of even the worst crimes imaginable and is for adults only. For those of you who fit into this category, take this message as your warning and don't watch any further. How the heck's it going, everybody? If you're wondering where the hell the robot maneuver came from, was the hold on. So because somebody messaged me, just like this one idiot earlier emailed me again, but I don't know if it's a joke or what. But somebody emailed me earlier. It's just mind-boggling. Wow. But yeah, where the robot comes from is when the somebody sent me an email saying that you move around too much. When the show's, you're always looking around at something, and I'm like, hey idiot, I've got 3 monitors I'm looking at, 1 2 3, okay. And so I started just doing, because I thought maybe that would make them happy. Actually, I didn't really give a shit if it made them happy or not, to be honest with you. I was really just kind of making fun of them. And then today I got another email saying that I don't cover enough BLM issues. I don't, and I don't cover minority cases, which is total bullshit. I covered Kanika Jenkins for about a year straight, and then I covered tons and tons of different cases with minorities in them. I mean, it's just what it is, right? And then they also said that I think it was a joke, though.
Hello, Grey Growing Heart.
I think it was kind of a joke, the email, when I think back at it, because they called me Greg Hughes. That's sort of a joke. And it was just like every classic triggered person, what they would say. It was unbelievable. If you're a channel member in the 2 upper tiers, I linked it into the YouTube community. It was like, are you kidding me? Jesus. Oh, and then when I rap, the rap that I do, I'm misappropriating.
Hello, Blue.
And the ethnic. I guess it's, I shouldn't do it because black people are the only people get a rap, and it showed my, what was it? What was the term? The alt-right. I'm alt-right because I rap. Is that incredible or what? It's okay, well, I guess we gotta, next time you hear an Eminem song or Beastie Boys, make sure that they have to, just like Gone with the Wind, they've taken that off the television set now. That's gone. I mean, doesn't anybody ever just notice how way too far overboard a lot of this shit goes? 304, you're on the air. Is this Kyron?
How's it going? No,
hey.
It's Dave.
Oh, it's Dave.
Is anyone else getting very tired of all the stress and melodrama going on the last few?
Yep.
Months.
That's few months. Thank you, Streamlabs, for that long pause without even there being a period. It's just the end of your line there. Okay.
I was able to actually hear Streamlabs. That was cool. Usually the caller can't hear it.
Oh, no, well, I think that's on this new system. It's been like that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So, I was going to call in about the Chris Watts case, but then I had to hurry up and shuffle everything up because I realized this wasn't the Chris Watts call-in night.
Yeah, I know that's what everybody wants to just talk about, no matter what. I mean, you could be talking about space landing and somebody will come in with, well, what about Watts? Do you think ever he had its aspirations of being an astronaut? Yeah.
Oh, my. So, I've got a couple of little thoughts on this whole thing. And one of them I've felt since the beginning. And obviously, this is just speculation, so...
Thank you, Zozo. Yeah. You're going to have the interruptions with the...
No, you're good. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
No words? I was waiting for the words from the
from
the super chat or whatever. All right. So I think that Chad Daybell is a complete 100% simp, and I don't think that he is this forward-thinking cult leader. I think that... All right, so I think Lori Vallow has all of her previous relationships just go on until the point where she's milked everything possible out of it because she's a horrible, scummy person.
Mm.
And she does the thing where she finds a new dude and then she gets rid of the old one. Right. And I think that Chad Daybell, being in a loveless marriage and the simp that he is, he saw Lori for 5 seconds and he was willing to do anything for her. And then Alex killed Charles. And then Daybell knew it was for real at that point, so he really had to get rid of the wife. Blah, blah, blah.
I don't know. Maybe.
I think that... What's that?
I mean, maybe. I think you're sort of not... I think he just kind of didn't want to deal with the kids, and then he had her... You know, and all the rules made
it across the planet. Smile.
Thank you. Yes, the true. Let's see. She said your true crime channel rocks across the planet. Thanks, Jessica Schubach. I think it's more like that he. You know, she was way hotter than his wife. He thought, right? You know, so
sure.
So he's like, oh wow, yeah, jeez. So all of the rules that he came up with, all these crazy cult ideas, because I actually believe Tammy Gibbs' account of it. And you know, it's weird because even remember when we interviewed Larry and Kay? Yeah, so Melanie Gibbs, I believe what she was saying because I remember even talking with Larry and Kay. They both said how Lori was totally different before. But I always thought maybe she was just acting, playing along. But what if she really, I mean, let's just throw it out there, like, what if she's just one of those really stupid people that end up following an idiot, a cult, and then she's just so into this guy. Wow, he's so great. And then all of his rules and everything make it so that she kind of has to get rid of her family, like the kids, because he doesn't want to have to deal with, a JJ or Tylee. It's like, oh God. So of course they're zombies at that point, and then
yeah,
I don't know.
I definitely I feel you on that, and for lack of better terminology, excuse me, but I'm going to have to use like meme terminology because I don't know a better way of explaining it. But like, so for her to fall head over heels in love with this charismatic cult leader, he would have to at least somewhat be charismatic. But
Well, of course she's a witch. I mean, nobody's out there thinking she's not a witch. I think she literally, I'm learning somebody. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I don't think most normal people without something weird like that in your brain would kill your own flesh and blood child, or even any child, really. But I mean, I'm just saying, especially one that's actually your own that you gave birth to, right?
No, for sure. She's definitely not all there. But Chad is like, so in meme terminology, Chad is like the alpha male. They're called Chads.
Uh-huh.
But Chad is actually like a Eugene, which is the opposite of an alpha male.
So like
every time I look at Chad, I just think his name should be Eugene.
Well, you should watch Walking Dead, because that would be, there's a guy named Eugene on there. Well, he's not. Well, actually, he's huge, though. Forget that. Never mind. That guy was big.
Well, I just, there's something deep inside of me that believes that, I mean, they're both scum. They both suck. I hope they both have horrible lives. I hope Chad gets a wonderful husband wherever he's going. And I hope he hates his life. But I really feel like Lori did a lot of manipulating in that. But the other thing that
yeah, it could have been. I mean, that's what we talked about before. Things just made me change my mind a little bit when Melanie, unless Melody's completely full of shit too, just trying to protect. See,
that's the thing.
Lori,
Go ahead.
I mean, if she's just sitting there trying to protect Lori, then, But if we just give any kind of credibility at all to, I mean, even though she's a wacko herself, Melanie Gibb.
Yeah.
But she was there observing and having conversations. It sounded like that was kind of genuine, some of the things she talked about. But
in my personal opinion, like you said, she's also a whack job. So, like, I have trouble believing anything that came out of her mouth. Why didn't she come forward sooner? Well, she didn't come forward until, she realized it was over for Lori. Had Lori not been locked up, would she have ever came forward? So that I have trouble with credibility with her, but which I'm probably wrong. You can ask my girl, I'm wrong about everything. So, but the other thing I was gonna say is, why would you bury, like, unless you really thought that God was going to protect you from anything and everything, why would you bury, like, people are looking at you with a magnifying glass. Why would you put their bodies on your property right by your house?
Well, what's weird is it lasted so long with the body being there. I mean, so it was actually kind of clever in a way, because it's so stupid, right? It's like, it was so dumb, it was clever. Sort of like in a chess game, like, let's say you had a real chess game between Spock and a guy that Spock thought was incredible, right? He didn't know, because it was just this tournament, and this guy shows up and makes this weird ass move, and he goes, "Whoa, what's he up to? That is absolutely crazy." But it turns out there was no logic to it whatsoever. It just was, it fooled everybody, So
right.
Yeah, because I think if nobody had said anything, it might not, like, somebody obviously came forward and said, yeah, it's one of those two. I think there's only 3 people that knew that those bodies were buried there, and I think it was Alex, Chad, and Lori. Alex is dead, and there's only 2 left, Chad and Lori, and then one of them's in jail and probably said something, and that probably led to the bodies in the backyard. And here's what I'm going to predict. They're all going to use Alex as the scapegoat of this whole thing.
I agree with you 100% there. I think that is where it's headed. And I also think that Lori, she probably was the reason they found the bodies, in my opinion. And I think that she's going to try to do this whole smoke and mirrors act where she's the victim, and it's not going to work.
You know what's interesting is they actually may. I mean, this is going to sound weird, but they might end up getting something really low here, as far as charge. Because here's the scary part about it, is Brandon Boudreau's already said that Alex is the one that shot at him, right? And that's what he believed. And then Alex also shot Charles, so we know that is a true thing. So couldn't they say that, yes, we did believe these things? Watch this defense right here. Watch this. Listen to this. You know, we all believed in zombies, you know. And I did say that JJ and Tylee were zombies, but we did, you know, come on. I mean, we weren't thinking he was going to take it seriously. And then he ended up killing them, and we didn't know what to do. So we panicked and we dug a hole, we put him in there, and then we dug a hole, we put him in there, and we didn't say anything, so we went to Hawaii because we were just panicked. We didn't know what to do. You know, I mean, can you see that coming? I can see that a mile away. And then how would you disprove that?
Absolutely, I agree. But here's where I want to shout out Mr. Hughes, Mr. Lum, and Mr. Eaton, because there is enough coverage of this idiot walking around like, kids are fine, 120 pounds, what? Just being
remember
like,
that? Oh, God.
just a heartless piece of shit.
And it seems like October 2nd is such a big moment for me. Just seeing all the things that went on there. The shooting attempt of Brandon Boudreau. And just basically the first 3 weeks of October are crazy. A lot of stuff went on there. The shooting attempt of Brandon Boudreau. The bullet just missed him. You've got Lori and Chad at the same time in a storage unit removing a seat and a tire from an SUV to make room for something. And then Chad pats her on the ass. Now keep in mind that his wife, Tammy, they were still married. I mean, like, she was still alive for another 17 days after that. So he's patting her on the ass. You know, obviously they're in a relationship even then. So all these plans were coming together right now, right at this time. Anyways, the lines are open, everybody. You can call in and discuss your theory. In her mind, she's a hero to mankind because she took out Nick Schneider and she also saved JJ and Tylee from a life of being in limbo, right? Because she killed the zombie that had the evil spirit in it, and that frees you from limbo, and then the original soul can go on to the veil. All right. Thanks, Stacy Galloway. That was very kind. Appreciate it. And she's the one, you know, I always say it because every time I see her name, I want to tell you guys about her. The Death of Nine, the Dyatlov Pass Mystery, the Amazon book. And no, she doesn't pay me to say that. I just see her name and I think of that, the great time that we had doing that 3-part series. Okay. So what do you got?
Well, I think for a fact that, you know, Mr. Daybell, he definitely killed those children, and, you know, and just buried them in the backyard. I don't think the mother really had anything to do with it, but I knew she knew what happened. And she knew that, you know, what he was doing. She thought maybe she can get away with it by not, you know, associating with it. But, you know, part of me, you know, that was crazy. You know, this whole time we knew that they were gone, you know. It just boggles me that why would she be so, you know, close-mouthed? Like, she didn't say anything.
Well,
you know?
yeah, because I think she. Well, what's weird to me is I have a theory that she made sure he didn't have medicine so that he would act like a zombie. But knowing that, you know, would act totally different than normal and therefore be deemed a zombie and be able to be sold as a zombie. Like, oh my God, he's a zombie. Look at what. But the thing is, if she did do that intentionally, that means she knows that he's not a zombie. If she literally did do what I'm thinking, she didn't let him have the medicine because she wanted him to act in a way that appeared that he was a zombie. But doing that means that he wasn't a zombie. So that means she knew that he was being killed and he wasn't a zombie.
That dude's totally zombified. I mean, just looking at his court appearance today, I mean, he looked like...
You're talking about Chad. Yeah, I was talking about...
freight train.
Yeah. Yeah, well, but here's the thing is, I don't know if you've been following this whole case the whole time, but, like, JJ... Or not JJ, let's see. Alex, he seemed like he was the hitman for the cult, right? So don't you think it's possible that he was given the task to kill both JJ and Tylee? And then he also, they all helped dig the hole, because, I mean, my God, he's the grave digger, Chad is. So they dig these holes out there, and then they bury the bodies in there, but Chad he literally could actually be the killer of both those kids.
Oh my God! I wouldn't be surprised if they find a whole bunch of bodies out there. It's going to be
well, that would be crazy.
It's going to be crazy. But I just wanted to give my opinion, and just let you know I do watch the channel all the time, and this is Darrell Gregg signing out.
Well, well, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. Good stuff.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Hi there, Gray. It's Sarah Brown. How are you?
Hey, pretty good. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having your show today about this obviously crazy topic. I listened to your earlier broadcast about it. I guess the main thing that I just wanted to put my 2 cents in is I really do think that Lori had a lot more to do with it than she's making out to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now with Chad also being arrested that she's going to be the first one to, rat him out or rat everybody out. That's just kind of how I feel. Her personality, like she just thinks that she can get away with.
Well, I think she has a lot to do with, like, hey, they're zombies and she was okay with them dying. It makes me nervous about the manner of death, because if they truly believed that they were zombies, there'd be no compassion. And then today we actually found out, it was funny because I was even saying that when I say funny, I just mean ironic. I was saying it prior. I said that about how they may have killed them in an evil way, and then today they said that one of them was egregiously hidden. It was like a really crazy thing that they did, and so that makes you kind of wonder, because if you really believe that the spirit of somebody is actually gone, and then there's a vessel with an evil spirit in there, you wouldn't have any compassion at all. Like, not that there's ever a, really compassionate way to kill somebody, but maybe not. You know what I'm saying? It's just.
Yeah, I wonder. I've watched all the interviews with the family members and all these other people, friends, and like the one Melanie, I think maybe it was the second one, who came across as like really being obsessed and loving Lori, like they should just be together or something. But she made it kind of sound like Lori was a decent parent up until then. I mean, she managed to raise Tylee until she was like almost, out of the house. So like, it seems like a big jump. I mean, she is definitely a manipulative human being, but like, what a jump to go from that to like murdering people, like within such a short span of time. And only when she finally was with this guy, right, with Chad, did she do all these things. I'm not saying she was a good person before, but I have a feeling that Chad has a lot more influence than maybe we realize. Yeah,
because remember Melanie Gibb. I mean, I don't know if I thought Melanie Gibb. I believe most of what she was saying. It seemed like It seemed like she was being legitimate when she was having conversations with Lori, discussing. God, this is kind of weird. Stuff like that with Chad. But she probably ended up buying all into it, and Chad. It seems like he was self-serving, like he wants those 2 kids gone so he can just be with her and start their little wonderful cult together, or whatever the hell it was.
Right. It's kind of odd that his own children were not, listed as zombies, but her children were. Like, didn't she see, like, wasn't that suspect at all in her mind?
Yeah, I mean, she should have said something at that point.
Who can even imagine the conversations these idiots had together? But I'm just so happy they're both behind bars, and I hope that they both get the death penalty.
Yeah, really.
And that's all I got to say about it.
Yeah, I wonder how that was, how that conversation was. That would have been weird. You know, just every time, like, now listen, have you seen these zombies today? Well, I saw one. He was a 2.4 dark. You know, it was really strange.
It's anybody who's calling people zombies and like your own child you gave birth to. Like, what the fridge is wrong with these people? Like, I don't know. I don't think we'll ever understand it, but I'm happy they're caught and behind bars, and that.
Yeah.
You know, at least there's some resolution for the grandparents and everybody else in the family.
Well, I think we all know that Alex is going to be the scapegoat, right?
Oh, you know it. You know they're going to blame him.
Oh, it's so perfect, too, and he's dead. Himself. Right, he's dead, too. Right. It's like you can sell anything.
He had it all planned out.
He was in the area at the time, and he killed Charles. He's the one that they think shot at Brandon. And, oh, my God, he was just really he started believing. Remember even... Melanie Boudreau, or Pulowski now, remember she even said that Alex, he really believed it too. You know?
Yeah, they were setting him up.
So
they were setting up this whole storyline. They had plans in the way they were saying things. So
yeah, it's crazy, huh?
Well, anyway, I know you got another call coming in, so I will say my good evening to you, and thank you so much for your show.
All right, well, thanks for calling. All right, see you.
All right, bye.
Bye. This is Gray. You're on the air.
Hey, Mr. Hughes. How are you?
Pretty good. Who's this?
This is Stephanie from Ohio. I just had a question I wanted to ask you about. First off, I wanted to thank you for doing this podcast. I kind of found you during the initial, the start of the Abby and Libby case, and I've followed you ever since, and I personally think that you do an amazing job covering both sides of every scenario. After watching the Melanie Gibb interview, I noticed whenever she was asked about Alex and what's Alex's newest wife name, Lemon something?
I think it's like Zulema Pastines.
Yeah.
I'm just doing it by memory.
I don't know why Lemon comes into mind.
Yeah, maybe I should get my chart back out for everybody.
It's right. There's a lot. One thing I picked up when Melanie was asked questions, when it came to Alex's new wife, a whole different, I feel like her face lit up. She talked about loving her and the wife, loving Melanie back. They had a special relationship kind of thing. And then after the reporter asked a few more questions, I just kind of got this vibe that maybe Melanie Gibb didn't care for Alex. Maybe she had like a really negative something to do with maybe his marriage to the new wife or something. I'm not sure, but I just had this feeling that it's kind of weird that the bodies are found right after, this interview with Nate goes public. Do you think that there's any relevance with maybe Melanie Gibb coming up with some information that maybe wasn't public, sent to the public?
Could be. I mean, let's see. I don't know if she would have known where they put the bodies. I mean, that'd be kind of... I mean, and remember, she kind of bailed out once they tried to use her to say that that JJ was staying with her. Remember that when the police first went to Idaho? I think it was like when was that? Late November. They go to their, and they told, they called her to say, hey, say that he's with you. And that's when she kind of realized something was up,
Yeah, she definitely bailed. I feel like that too. Like she said that they put her in a bad situation, and she really didn't want any part of that. I just kind of wonder if, like you said earlier, maybe she knew a little more than what she was letting on. Don't get me wrong, I think it's great she finally came forward, came out of hiding, and did cooperate and talk and give a lot of light to at least their religion and things that she personally knew. I just wondered if there was any kind of relevance to everything happening now, just a couple weeks after, the big prolonged interview.
Yeah, it does seem like, well, it seems like maybe she had some influence on Lori. Just maybe she heard about it, realized, wow. I mean, I don't know. It seems too. I'd like to believe that she was just completely brainwashed by Chad, but it's hard to completely go there, So
Yeah.
that's what's tough.
I don't think there's a mother in America right now that could honestly be brainwashed by a man or a woman or anybody, even a pastor of a church, into believing that their children are bad or deserving of death, especially when it comes to
right. But see, that's the beauty of what Chad thinks of his law, right? He's saying, hey, no, your children are great. They're amazing. They're just not in those bodies anymore. Okay, they're stuck in limbo, and the only way to get them out of limbo is to kill the bodies that JJ and Tylee were once inhabiting, but are now taken over by an evil spirit. So you got to kill that evil spirit, and then it frees them from limbo and allows them to go behind the veil and be with their ancestors. See,
yeah,
so if you see, that's the thing.
Sounds crazy.
Well, if you could just sell that angle to somebody, then you might be able, you can almost see somebody going there. But yeah, it's hard, It's one of those things. Like, how many people actually do that? Very few.
Yeah. Well, maybe there's people like Lori who are so adamant on finding love and being loved that they'll stop at nothing. They'll believe anything that they're sold. It's sad. It's very, very, very sad. It's a very sad case in general.
Hey, I listen to you every night.
Oh, yeah?
And I really enjoy your show. My name's Stacy. And I've just been wanting to get in touch with you about this case for a little while, and I just haven't had time to do it. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is on your one show, you it was about Alex and his toxicology report, and I remember that you had said something about him having elevated. You said, "Wow, this guy's got elevated potassium in his blood."
Yeah.
And have you ever considered that he might have been poisoned with antifreeze or ethyl glycol, because that's one of the symptoms of
yeah. Well, here's the thing: is that autopsy that came out was the original autopsy. I don't know if they provided us the results from any sort of a later one that they would check for other things, right?
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if they checked for anything like that.
Right. Well, I was just, if you read, like I was on Wikipedia one night and I was reading about that because I thought, I had just watched a movie where some mother had poisoned her daughter with antifreeze.
Yeah.
And so
I know you've been watching Forensic Files, right? Because that shows up in that show all the time. They what's it called? Something glycol or something, or
yeah, ethylene glycol.
Yeah.
So I just, just some of the symptoms of it are they're just so close to some of the stuff Alex was going through when they were on the 911 call. So I just, like slurred speech, drooling, coordination of muscle movement would be lacking, just things like that, and gastrointestinal symptoms. So I just thought it was really interesting. And then the other thing, this is kind of what I'm going to say here is pretty crazy, but I was thinking about Ian Pulowski and how he wore a wire for the FBI whenever he first married Melanie. He knew her a week, didn't he? And then he just married her like a week after he met her or something?
Yeah, but
Am I correct on that?
Well, I don't know exactly how they married really quick, within a very short amount of time. But he wore the wire after they were married, though, right?
Yeah, I think he did. But this is really far-fetched what I'm going to say. But have you ever considered that maybe Ian Pulowski is undercover FBI or law enforcement, and he married Melanie in like a setup ceremony so he could glean information about the case for the FBI? Or
Well, I think it might have been. Well, they weren't really onto this whole case yet, though. That's the thing. See, when they got married,
All right.
I think they. Well, actually, October 2nd, after Brandon Boudreaux was shot, and then, Tammy got shot on the 19th. I don't know when Brandon came forward, but I mean, I guess it's possible, maybe, but. I thought that they started getting really interested in the case later in November, and then the law enforcement, and then they decided, hey, this is all getting weird. Let's exhume Tammy, and she was exhumed on December 11th. But Ian
this is just the craziest case I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. And my niece and I were talking about it, and I'm like, have you ever heard any? I mean. Can you compare this to any other case you've ever?
Well, Rachel Del Tondo is a second, and it's actually kind of a close second because Rachel Del Tondo, that case has just as many people up on the board and is all over the place. But this one's the weirdest one because it's all just total, just something out of a B horror movie. The plot line, Crazy zombies and portals. Shit.
Yeah, it is crazy, and it almost reminds me a little bit of a sci-fi. Sci-fi feature like The Walking Dead with a little bit of and all those levels with the zombies, and then they're the king and the queen, and it's just so weird. And the portal thing where she's sitting in the closet and he's sitting in the closet. And they're on their AT&T or Verizon.
Yeah, they're just talking on the phone.
Talking.
Portal equals cell phone in closet. Okay.
Yeah, so it's just so funny. But I mean, it's not funny. It's so sad about the kids and.
Yeah.
But
well, what's weird is when I was talking to Larry early on, and then Nate even. When I I did the interview with Nate Eaton. He said. Especially with Larry, it was that even if you were a Hollywood writer, you wouldn't write a story with this stuff in it because they would go, "Oh God, that's stupid. Go back and make it, So the thing is, when they actually do a movie on this, they're gonna have to leave stuff out just to make it seem somewhat reasonable.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I just cracked up the other day when you said. Chad could leave the jail in his portal.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. He doesn't mind not getting bail at all, right? He just
some of the stuff you say is hilarious.
All right, okay.
Well, I have enjoyed talking to you. I've wanted to call in many times and just haven't because I was a little bit shy about it. But I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, don't. I'm not. I mean, I'm not. People always think, "Oh, you're so mean. You're so." I mean, I'm not.
Oh no, you're not.
Yeah,
you're not mean at all. I find you very entertaining. So.
Well, good. All right. Well, thanks for calling in.
Thank you for doing what you do. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Right,
night.
Yeah, bye. I forgot, what was her name again? I got to start writing down. Does anybody remember her name? Really quick. Oh, Stacy, that's right. I knew it was. I knew it was like, wait, that's not Stacy Galloway. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, thanks for calling in, Stacy. All right. All right. 228, you're on the air.
It's Tracy again.
Tracy again?
I called you last night.
Oh, you called last night.
Oh. Yeah, I called last night. So first of all, I want to say you're awesome. I'm fat. I wasn't offended.
Well, I wasn't trying to make it like, this whole thing,
No,
I'm trying to explain why she made her comment. See, I think Lori went, what? Because it was something to do with, it was right after that. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. I think everybody else gets it too. I also wanted to say the mug shot, his side view mug shot looks exactly like the Skippy mug.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty amazing to me. Yeah, I know it's not, this case isn't funny, but you nailed that one.
Well, yeah, let me see that.
I'm just, yeah, dude, his side, if you look at his side mugshot and you look at your mug, and it's amazing. I'm like, it's epic. Everybody needs that mug.
Yeah, everyone's got to get the Skippy and,
Yeah.
what is it, dumbbell mug? Skippy.
Yeah, everyone needs that. I have to get it. I'm just wondering where they were, where the children were before he moved them. That's the...
Oh, yeah, it does look like this one over here, the side shot. Wow.
Yeah, it looks just like him.
Okay, so the mug involves his head up, his chin becomes his forehead, and then I put eyeballs up here. It looks pretty good. You got to see it. But...
It's totally nailed it. I want to keep looking at that.
God, just look at that guy. Oh God, Jesus.
Like, you look at the mug and you look at that's like you nailed it.
Yeah. All right. So what was your next? What were you just saying there? Right before.
The next thing is I just wonder where they were before because he had to move them to his backyard. Where they were.
Yeah.
Do you think it had something to do with the storage unit? I just don't know.
I don't know because well, what's weird about the storage unit is they removed the seat. And see, if the bodies were somewhere, they weren't in the storage unit. Okay, because they removed the seat and the wheel to the storage unit, and then drove away. Okay, you would have removed those, then moved the bodies from the storage unit into the vehicle right at that moment. But they didn't do that. They drove away, and obviously they could have removed those for some other reason. But given the timing, it seems like it might be related. So maybe they were just somewhere hidden in the woods somewhere. I mean, who the hell knows? I have no clue.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And I honestly think they will put this on Alex, but I still stick with what I said last night about maybe Alex had this, maybe he just had this aha moment and said he couldn't handle it, and he maybe did to himself what he'd done to. I think that he was the person they used to do these things to these people, that everyone that's dead. Mm-hmm. Not sure about Tammy.
Right.
But I just feel like he did to himself what maybe he had already done to.
Well, it makes the prosecution kind of scary because I can definitely see Alex is the known killer in the group, and all you have to do is just say, "Yeah, I taught those things." Okay, so they might be like, I don't know what they would end up getting, but if they could, how are they going to disprove somehow that Alex? How are they going to prove that Alex didn't kill them? The prosecution. Tell me how they're going to do that.
Right. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a while before I think we hear everything. But, I think that it's definitely a sad day. It's just the craziest case I've ever heard. I was trying to tell my husband, he's just like, Tracy, please stop. I'm like, well, I'm really invested in this. And, I tell him about your show because he'll tell me, like, I'll say something and he'll say, yeah, I'm so Laura, and I was like, oh, you sound just like great. It's so funny. But anyway, I just feel like I don't know. It's just sad. It really is. It's totally sad, and I don't know how any woman that could give birth to a child, I don't have children, could let this happen to their child. It's just beyond me. But
yeah,
anyway.
I mean, that's why, a lot of the stuff's really rare, but
yeah,
it does weird crap happens.
I don't want to keep anyone else from calling in. I called in last night, but I had to mention the Skippy mug because I thought it was spot on, and I was like, yes, you should be proud of that.
Yeah.
With our green names and our little puppy emojis.
Oh yeah, that's right. Also, the person that sent me the email earlier, they said that it wasn't fair that non-channel members don't also have the dog and stuff next to their name, and that I was being, it made people feel like they weren't inclusive because they don't get to have,
We don't.
you know.
We don't all get trophies.
Right,
We
and
earn them.
and the thing is YouTube set it
Sorry,
up
I
that
just
way.
said that.
Blame YouTube, okay? It's channel members.
Yeah.
That's why you get the
Channel
dog
members.
next to the name. It's not channel. It's not. It's channel members that join the channel as a paid subscription.
Yes.
Okay, it's not a. It's not like you're a sub and you get the dog next to your name. Okay,
Yes.
you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I pay my subscription to be a member to support your channel because I like what you do. I'm here every night. I'm dedicated.
Yeah.
At first, when I first watched you, I was like intimidated and scared. And I'm like, oh my gosh! But I'm so like, I look forward to your show every night. And if you're not on, I'm like, where's Gray? What does he do? What is he doing?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm not going to hold you up. I just really appreciate it. I love everything. We have some of the greatest members in the chat.
Yeah, it's
people.
awesome. Yeah.
It's pretty awesome, and I just love it. So anyway, I'll let someone else call in. Thank you for your time. And I was just really proud of that skipping back to order mine.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in.
So I can have it. All right, dear. You take care. Have a good night.
All right. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Alrighty, bye.
So here, let's hit the like button, everybody.
I'm tired of it now.
Hit the like button, 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 or hit the dislike, do something, for God's sake. Hit the like button, 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 like button. Okay? So either, right now, either hit the dislike or like button, but do something, for God's sakes.
Gray, you said God. Now I'm offended too. How dare you?
Oh God, can you just give the guy a break? He just wants to be able to talk like a regular person.
I know, but he could have used a different word other than God.
Jesus, you two, you are always jumping in on me like that. Look at. Okay, so there's a few things. The look at. That showed up when I covered the Kanika Jenkins case for a year, and people covering that wanted you to see something that didn't exist. They would make videos and say, look at over and over again, and eventually people would go, oh, I do see it. Much like the EVP readers. They'll tell you what to hear, and all of a sudden, by God, you can hear it. And the L101, that stands for, we were doing a show one time where there was letters being written to a person in jail who shall go nameless, and we were reading those letters on the air, and one of them said, oh, I can't cook very well, LOL, or something like that. But the person reading it, which is Ada, said 101. She said 101, so then 101 became LOL on this channel. And then one time I said, you know what's weird is people always type LOL in. But are you really laughing when you type LOL? Because people type LOL like this. Hey, I just had a hamburger and some potato chips, LOL. Yes, I went to the store just now and I got myself a hand cart and started walking down the aisles, LOL. Okay, well, so then we said, well, are you literally laughing out loud? Shouldn't it be LOL?
Just
and then
do
Ada
something,
chimed
for
in and
God's
said,
sakes.
yeah, that's
is
right.
my new favorite.
Just
Rolling
do
on the floor, laughing, tears of joy, open mouth smile.
Yeah, so then it turned into, shouldn't it be L101? And then boom, that's what that came from. So when you see people type that in, that should be a mug, Sherlock Hemlock, don't you think? Just do something, for God's sakes. All right. All right. And then there's the lizard eye. I'm telling these again for the people that are new. The lizard eye that's on there was when I was at a bar. I thought this waitress was really pretty, and she sat down at the table, and I'm so smooth, and she had really pretty eyes, and my smoothness came forward when I said, man, your eyes look like a lizard. Okay, but I meant to say you have exotic looking eyes. Okay, that's what I meant to say. Unfortunately, I said your eyes look like a lizard. All right, so if you're looking for smooth lines from me, it ain't gonna be happening. All right.
Hi, Gray. How you doing?
Pretty good. Who's this?
This is Jill.
Jill?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So I have this kind of theory. I think Lori's going to say she thought Chad stashed her kids in one of those bunkers, you know, with all the people who were going to be saved, and didn't know that they were killed.
Oh, she's not gonna. She, you know, how would she pull that off? Like, where? How would she sell it? Like, okay,
Because she's nuts and she thinks people believe anything she say.
yeah, but I mean, you'd have to be able to have some evidence. Like, where's that bunker? Where's the people? Where's the? And how come they ended up back on her husband's property in the backyard? You know,
True.
That's the part that she's just gonna struggle with. I think they're just gonna blame Alex. Think how easy that is.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, look at that. You just go, God, Alex, he killed Charles. Man, he's probably the shooter in the drive-by at Brandon's house. You know? And then all of a sudden, he believed everybody was zombies. He believed in that stuff. Okay? Right. So, he's the one that did it. We didn't realize he was so wrapped up in it. We didn't expect anybody to actually kill anybody. Okay? You know, of course you did. Of course they did though, because they killed Charles because he was a zombie, and he thought Charles was a zombie and had no problem shooting him. He just couldn't tell the cops, "Hey, well, what happened here, sir?" Well, Charles is a zombie and I shot him. Okay, because then he would have been arrested.
He was probably trying to kill him.
What happened there, sir? Well, I could just see that it wasn't Charles. His name is really Nick Schneider, and I shot him in the chest twice to get rid of Nick Schneider and allow Charles's soul to go up behind the veil. Okay, he would have been taken away right then in a wearing a straitjacket. Okay, all right, yeah.
I could never be a juror. I would fucking laugh. I would laugh so hard.
Yeah. Well, that's what's crazy about it.
The whole thing's crazy, and the whole thing about the Lori and the weight thing. She was saying that. And she gave her daughter a sly look as to insult her daughter and acted all innocent with what? Ew, I could have smacked her when she said that.
Yeah, because you know what do you? I mean, that's why I threw out my theory. Like, what when she went what? I think it had something to do with what she was just talking about, right? Her 5'6", 120.
Exactly.
Right.
It was exactly what she was talking about, and her daughter was probably rolling her eyes or something because her weight wasn't exactly 120. It was probably a little higher, and she was lying.
Right, and then she's probably like sensitive about that, you know, because now she knows she's gonna have to say that too, right?
Exactly, and she knew that was coming. A little dig at her own daughter. What a scumbag.
Yeah, she's crazy.
So, absolutely, the whole thing's just insane. And Melanie Gibb. Oh my God, she's so in love with Chad. It's gross.
Yeah, well, it seems like she was she sort of threw him under the bus right at the end. Like, but see, Melanie Gibb is a crazy person too, because she believes sort of in the basis of it all that there's really a veil and there's really these people that can talk to angels, but he was deceived by the evil spirits behind the veil. So I don't really blame Chad either. He was just deceived. He just needs to come forward now. Everything will be fine. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, she's pretty sick in the head. They all are. It's just insane.
Yeah, every single one of them.
They make me feel completely sane.
I think the IQ, adding up all of them, is like less than an average person. Just one. Like if you took Melanie... Well, that actually is like in the negative category there. So it's like, I don't even know. But anyway. All right. Well, look at this, man. You called in and everybody's calling in.
I know. See, I attract crazies. What's going to happen next?
Who knows?
All right.
man.
Thank you. Enjoy your show a lot.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks for calling in. That was fun.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Yeah, Gray, I'm here. I'm one of those initially I have wept a couple of times for that grandfather.
Yeah.
And listened to what he had to say and knowing what JJ meant to him. And, man, you do so much for everybody. in ways that you don't know. But as far as Larry goes, if he's out there listening to this is another grandfather that really feels for what he has to say, and it's all sad.
Yeah,
it's also very sad.
He was always really, I mean, I think he even cried a couple times on the interviews, and then he knew that JJ, he would say that he didn't think he was still alive anymore. They hoped, and it really kind of sucks because now they know that they're not, you know. It's like,
and I think we were all like that, Gray. I think we all hoped that just some miracle would happen.
Mm-hmm.
And but the truth is known, and that's what's most important. But Gray, I just want to step back and go, thank you so very much, sir, for what you do.
Well, thanks. I mean, hope you're not, you sound like you're really upset.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. I understand, because like if people have kids and everything, but I don't want to be the cause of, you know, making you upset.
No, sir, you're not. You're just bringing the truth forward, and we appreciate that. I just really feel for this grandfather. Thank you, Gray.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for listening. It's been a absolutely ridiculous case. Never seen anything as crazy as this ever, really. So, well, thank you for calling in. Oh, I guess he left. Well, I felt bad for that guy. Yeah, I mean, I remember at the beginning of the case, I thought that maybe they were on one of those commune places where you don't get to have a phone, you don't get to have anything like that. But as soon as we started hearing about the doctrine part of their cult, because we didn't know anything about that before, then I just totally changed my mind. You know, once we heard that they thought that they were labeled zombies, both of them, and you knew what the wording was on how to treat them, there was no chance in my mind that they were still out there.
This is Emily from Ohio.
Hey, how's it going, Emily?
It's good. I just a couple of observations from the police interview from when Lori and Melanie and Tylee went to speak to them about when Charles had taken Lori's purse or whatever out of the car. And from my observations, when I watch that, if anybody has a person who's a total narcissist in their life, you can see that playing out in Lori through the whole interview. I mean, all of her mannerisms and her laugh, like the little fake laugh that she does and all those things. It is obvious to someone who knows a narcissist, but I don't know that it's as easy for everybody to pick up. And the policeman there was saying how he was new at his job, but I'm sure that he was able to pick up on those things. But you can see where Tylee is so fed up with her, like her.
You think
BS
she's a narcissist? I
do, because the thing that makes me say that about Lori is that, not that, you know, 4 failed marriages just automatically means that, but the beauty contest, I think there's a certain level of narcissism that's involved in that. But also she is beautiful, and she has probably never faced any kind of negative feedback from men, I'm assuming. I mean, to some degree, because she's had 4 failed marriages before Dumbbell, but there has to be some kind of a level of narcissism in a person like that, because they are not used to being come against in a way. And if you have a daughter that's an intelligent person like Tylee was, who is the logical person in that relationship, and you can just see in that interview how that's playing out. Tylee is just in such a whirlwind of manipulation. She's kind of fed up with the whole situation with Charles, but at the same time, she knows her mom is a bold-faced liar, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can just
I wonder what the deal
tell
was
in their
with
interaction.
Or hold on one second, because there's going to be some words. Thank you. What is it? Stephanie May Inman.
Thank you for being a reliable go-to for the facts, and for giving the easily offended assholes of the internet a safe place to show themselves to the rest of the world.
Yeah, well, somebody just made a negative comment above there, said that I'm shaming. It was just like, what are you talking about? I don't know. I think there's these troll accounts that show up, and they just make comments to see how people will react. But thankfully, all my moderators catch them and delete them quickly, because they're total idiots. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, let's see. What were you? Yeah. You were saying about Tylee. She.
Yeah, you can just tell that, like, in the police interview, that she's trying to relay to the police, like, what is going on.
Yeah.
Every time that she speaks or that Melanie speaks, Lori steps in and talks over them to try to make everything fit her narrative.
Oh, you mean in the police interview when they were in the station? That one.
Yeah. Yeah,
I totally saw that too when they were sitting there. And she would just sort of quickly jump in and sort of interrupt to make sure that her... But what was interesting is in that, Tylee was pretty critical of Charles, you know. So,
right.
So it's like, was that stuff sold to her or told to her to say? Or, I mean, I think
she kind of seems in the interview like Tylee, you can tell, is like a logical person, but she's... Okay, I will just say from personal experience, I know someone not just like Lori, because she hasn't killed her children, but she physically abused them. And I just can see the dynamic there, where there's a person who is a logical person, but is frustrated with the whole situation. Like, if one person isn't reacting well, let's say Charles isn't reacting the way that he should, there's a frustration there. But with Lori, the manipulation is constant. There's no 5-minute break. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so it's just so frustrating because, listen, somebody who has 5 marriages total, but someone who has that number of marriages is not, and someone who has 2 children. And
listen, everybody, she's not marriage shaming. If you're out there and you've been married 5 times, it doesn't mean she's specifically talking to you. Don't feel marriage shamed.
Right, that's true.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
But anybody who has past
failed marriages.
Well, yeah, I have to be careful. Yeah, failed marriages specifically, and cares so much about image is I kind of lost my thought process there, but I'm saying they don't. In front of the police, she's like, "Oh, sorry." Like when at one point she interrupts Tylee, and Tylee looks at her like, "Can I talk?" You know, I don't see Tylee as being like manipulated fully by her in that, but someone who's that about image is like 5 minutes. Like in that room, she's going to control herself, and then 5 minutes outside of that, you know, that's when she's like going to lose it on Tylee, and it's just I don't know. I see everything.
I see what you're saying. There's a lot of stuff that really, you know, I'm kind of wondering about. You know, for example, Colby. You know how he said that he was abused by Joseph Ryan even lately. So you sort of wonder, like, is some of that stuff, is he going to come forward later and say, yeah, I kept the ruse going, and then. I mean, because I don't know. I think a lot of this stuff is not real. Like everything that was going on with Tylee and Lori and Charles is because it seemed like Tylee was a little bit on Lori's side in those meetings, but was it because she made it appear that Charles was doing certain things? Like, oh, look, he did this, he did that, and then she sort of started believing that a little bit, but not totally. So. Didn't want to get the ire of Lori, so would kind of.
That's kind of what I'm saying. I'm not really great at articulating it, but what I'm kind of trying to say is there's no break when it's someone who is that good at manipulating someone. I guess, you know, if you can convince 4 people to marry you, and I do think that there were signs before now that she was crazy. I mean, I don't think that this just came upon everybody all of a sudden. I think she's been crazy the whole time, but a master manipulator can do those kinds of things. And so Tylee, if she's the logical one in that whole scenario, it's going to be so muddied. You know, the manipulations are constant. There's not going to be a 5-minute break for anybody who's logical to collect themselves, because part of the whole scheme is to keep the thumb down on everybody, especially the smart ones who are figuring things out. And I think, you know what I mean? So the trick only works if Tylee believes bad things about Charles to some degree, you know?
Yeah. And so maybe she separated them for a while and was able to kind of keep pounding in some manipulation. Because there was a time where it was just Tylee and Lori sort of away from them, right? Yeah, I think that's right, because I think he was left alone with just JJ for months. And she took off, but I think I don't know if Tylee was with her when she took off. I don't remember that at this point, but
I was kind of confused about the timeline, because at the end of that police video, that's, for some reason, it's just one that I've watched over and over, because you can see more of her mannerisms in front of other people more. It's kind of constant. But I was confused on the timeline, because at the end of that video, it's when the officer is talking to the person who did the mental evaluation, the doctor, the psychiatrist or whatever, and he said that when Lori, I guess it's right before, this is what I'm not sure about, but right before she's speaking to those police in that interview was when Charles was trying to come home from wherever he was, and she had canceled 2 or 3 of his flights of him trying to get home, and she figured out, like, as soon as he would purchase a ticket after she canceled one, she would cancel that one. And so he had a really hard time getting home, and that's because she was at home emptying out his house of all his possessions. And
then she took his truck one time
right before she
too, right? Like, got rid of his truck from the airport.
And that's right before she's talking to those police, and when she's in there in the police, she's acting like such a victim, you know, and it's like just so.
Yeah, and the funny thing is Charles was right. Like, this whole thing about she needs to be put into like a psychiatric hold. He was 100% on the money. I wonder if those cops look back and go, God, man, we didn't take that seriously. So the person who can do like that kind of a manipulation, that while that's like maybe one day after she's been doing all those things with his flights and all that, and she's so calm and collected and victim playing right there in that room, that's not somebody who was kind of just waylaid by the charm of this trout, Chad Daybell. That's someone who used the whole situation to her advantage is all I think. I don't think that she was just a trout.
Sideswiped and like,
I like trout. How about carp?
He looks.
Let's make it.
Oh, maybe.
Carp. I like carp.
I did a bunch of memes of him as that fish on SpongeBob, the one that always comes into the.
Oh yeah. You might have to send me a couple of those.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just got home from work, so I'm going to get off here.
Well, good thoughts.
Thank you.
Probably right on the money there. All right.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. All right. See you. Bye.
All right.
Hey, it's Joan Milano from Dayton. How are you?
Joan Milano from Dayton.
Yeah.
Joan Milano.
Here.
How's it going?
Yeah. Good. I just wanted to say, what a sad day. But it's weird because ever since I heard that Skippy was a gravedigger years ago, I've always had this gnawing feeling that he did this again, that he dug their graves.
You wonder if that job made him sort of a little bit weird like that. You know,
maybe
sitting around digging graves, you know, it's like, Jesus.
Yeah, but who would have thought, I mean, in his own backyard, you'd think he would have, like, put him in the desert or something.
No, because he was a...
backyard, that's
yeah, well,
stupid.
It's stupid, but it's also genius at the same time, right? I mean, like I said before, let's say you buried a body in the middle of a soccer field, put grass right over the top of it. Who in the hell would ever look there? Okay, I mean it's
Well,
right there in
that's
the
true.
middle of the yard, and he probably knows how to dig a hole and then cover it up because they have to do that at the cemeteries and make it look presentable, right? So maybe he
Right.
thought he was pretty good at that.
Isn't it fascinating how they knew exactly where to go? It's just killing me. I wonder if Lori gave it up. What do you think?
Yeah, that's what I think. I think Lori probably said something. And
You think
actually,
it was Lori?
on the screen right here is the body that we saw yesterday. There was something that they were filming was right in this area right here. The fire pit's right there. So it was near the fire pit, but not in the fire pit. Yeah, I think Lori might have said something. I mean, there's only 3 people, like I was saying, that would probably have known. It would be Alex, Lori, and Chad. And I actually do sort of think that Alex is the one that killed both of them. I mean, look at that. Alex was on the trip to Yellowstone, and that's the last known sighting of Tylee, right? So that's the last known sighting.
Yeah.
And then he's also in town when JJ goes missing.
Yeah.
And he's this guy that believes all the shit that Chad's doing. But it doesn't make any difference. They should all get the same charge. It's sort of like a murder for hire situation.
Of course.
You know? Like, that's what I see it as. So.
And then to see her on the beach in Hawaii with Skippy twirling around with those stupid faces
Yeah.
while her children are decomposing in his backyard. That's terrible to say.
I know, it's crazy. They
but-
were in Hawaii for 3 or 4 months while they knew that back in Rexburg there was bodies in the yard.
Yeah. And they're twirling on a beach and having a good old time. Those smiles. Oh, I don't understand it. And also, okay, motive. Besides the religious crap that they do, I was thinking a lot of it has to do with the fact that Charles changed his will, gave the money to Kay, and this is almost her way of giving the finger to Kay. You know, you're not going to see him anymore, and I think that had something to do with it.
It could have.
Like,
I mean, actually, I bet you that I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's one of the reasons Lori turned JJ into a zombie by not giving him his medicine anymore.
You're right. Right. Just crazy. Okay, well, I just wanted to call and say hi.
Well, thank you.
You've got somebody. I hope you have a good night, Gray, and
You
thanks
too.
for everything you do, really.
Well, thank you. Joe Milano.
Thank
I appreciate you.
Okay.
Thank you. All right.
All right. Good night.
Good night. Calling in? Hey, how's it going?
The show since there's no baseball, so I had to grind in my franchise. So that's what I was doing, and also listening. But I saw that conference earlier when I was at work, and apparently he has to wear an ankle monitor. Did you hear that? At the end, they were talking about they were doing the Zoom court session or whatever, and he had to wear an ankle monitor. Did you hear that?
I don't know if I don't remember hearing that, but did he make bail then, or is that what you're saying? Like if he makes if he makes bail, he has to wear some. I'm sure they'd make him wear an ankle monitor if he makes bail. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if he'll make it because his bail's going to be pretty high.
Well, it'd be $100,000 he'd have to come up with, and he's got 5 kids that could probably easily come up with something. Or how many kids he's got? I think it's 5. That's what makes me nervous. That his kids, who are he's so great, he's so great. They'll probably figure out a way to come
Bond
up
him
with
out.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know he's not allowed to leave, really. He can't really go anywhere. Like, I don't even know if he can leave the county. I don't know.
I don't even know why he's given bail. Yeah, there's 2 bodies that pulled out of holes in his backyard. Okay, he shouldn't have got anything. All right, there's tons of evidence. His bail should have been way more than Lori. Remember Lori had a $5 million one to start with. Why didn't his start at $5 million and take a few weeks to whittle it down to $1 million? his starts off at $1 million, you know, and then we start negotiating, you know, it's just stupid. I don't understand at all. You know, he was the stepfather. Well, I mean, not technically because they weren't alive when they got married, but they should have been still alive, right? So he should be the stepfather of JJ, and according to them, he was the stepfather because they said they were still alive. Yeah, so.
But that's nuts to me. That just blows my mind. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous, you know. I don't even know.
Yeah, when I saw that mugshot or whatever, I just wanted to. That guy, the way he looks, man, he looks like a total sleazebag, man. Makes you want to punch him in the face. The way he looks, I hate looking at his face.
I think a lot of people.
I know
have
you
that.
say that all the time, man, but
I think people have that. A lot of people have the same thought. You know, it's just Skippy. You know, the guy that was at school. You know, he reminds me of the guy at school that had all the money, and you know, basically paid everybody to like him, and then you know, he's just a total douche to everybody. Just oh god, man, unbelievable.
The only thing I still don't understand is like I don't want to stay on super long, so because I want other people to call in too, but I just don't understand why they'd kill a 17-year-old girl because. Was it just that she's a liability or something? You know, because I feel like she was older.
Well, I think it's because, you know, Tylee was smart, strong-willed, and she just wasn't going to be somebody that wouldn't eventually talk at some point. That's what I would think. And she probably wasn't buying into the whole zombie thing, right? Like, she was this kid with this absolutely whack job mom. Who the mom was all really into her looks and just probably, you know, doing that shit all the time. But an absolute whack job mom, and she's got to live there. But she's smart, and she wasn't buying into the zombies because eventually she would have had to accept that JJ was a zombie, right? And be okay with him dying, or you know, she would go forward to the police, and they realize, ooh, yeah, she's not gonna accept that. She knows all of our secrets, too. She knows that we thought that JJ was a zombie. She might not have known that she was also, you know, it's ludicrous, okay? So I think they had to kill her to keep the ruse going, and that's sort of the whole reason I thought maybe they had something to do with killing Alex. But we don't know if they had anything to do with killing Alex. We haven't had any secondary autopsy information for any chemicals they may have found.
Yeah, and then her first husband died out of a heart attack too. Like that's just
third.
Dude,
that was her third
death,
husband.
Man.
That was her third husband.
Yeah, third husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just too much death, man. That's crazy to me, man.
And not too long before that, and he's also the same guy that. See, here's what's weird: is what if the same thing killed him, Tammy,
right,
and and Alex?
Yeah.
So there's 3 deaths that are similar.
Like that would have been their first victim, and they would have been like. So that would have been like a test, like not really a test run, but it would have been more like let's try this out, and then it worked, you know. And no one at that point, no one would even have been suspicious, not even close. You know?
Right, and the thing is
so like
he actually, they tried. You remember Alex tried to kill Joseph Ryan in 2006 or 7. I can't remember exactly, but it was a court hearing, and he went there with a taser and shocked Joseph Ryan, tried to kill him, and then somebody showed up and he ran away. See, that's what's weird about. I mean, look how crazy this shit is, right? Then he had to go to prison. He was in prison.
It's just too coincidental, man.
Yeah, so he already tried to kill him once. Then he dies at his home. Nobody found him for like 2 weeks or something. And I guess I remember one of the shows, one of the family members said that Tylee got like $70,000, but Lori probably controlled it out of that. And then Alex died. Tammy dies in her sleep, and then Alex dies. Sort of.
Yeah, that's just
these weird ways.
Like I said, too coincidental.
Yeah, right.
And they're all very similar, like ways that they died, like very similar. You know what I mean? Like dying in your sleep is like heart stopping and stuff like that. You know,
I would say
that same general thing.
Yeah, like I would say that. Let's see. We don't know how Joseph. You know, like what the circumstance, did he die in his sleep or what? But the thing is Tammy and Alex theirs sort of feel similar for sure. Like if you got these, you know, who knows what Tammy looked like? Was she foaming at the mouth too in the middle of the night? You know, when she died, was it very similar? I'd like to know what, you know, but Chad's not going to say what he saw. He's just going to be like, oh, wow, she died. And then he didn't even have any autopsy done at all. Chad didn't request one. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. But isn't that stupid that they don't even do one? Like, it's just...
No, yeah, they should have done. They should have...
Yeah.
Yeah, they had cause to do one, in my opinion, at least.
Well, they did. They didn't know at the time that there was cause. But at the same time, everybody has an autopsy. Especially something like that, you know. She's a little bit younger. She was training.
Yeah,
she's in good shape.
Most people in their late 40s, early 50s don't die like that. So.
Right.
So that's kind of interesting, but yeah.
Yeah. Sweet.
All right. Well, I'll let somebody else call in. Thanks for taking my call. So
All right.
Let's keep watching.
Timothy, thanks for calling in. Good luck with that game that you're setting up.
Thanks. All right. Bye.
All right. See you. Now do it.
I was on speaker. Okay. I said that I wanted to tell you that you handled this from day one with such dignity, and you took extra caution not to say anything hurtful in case there was family in the chat. I'm just proud. I'm so proud of how you handled this, and I'm so proud to be part of your freaks.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, you guys are so nice.
I wanted to say Chad looked stressed, and then I thought, that doesn't matter. Look at Kay and Larry. That breaks my heart. What am I getting happiness because he looks worried when my heart should be in prayer for Larry and Kay? I mean, we all kind of, we have a little bit in the fight.
Yeah.
But maybe we forget how much, you know? But I have got a room to finish painting before I go to work at 5 in the morning, but I wanted to say it in person.
Well, thank you. What time is it over there now?
It's a little after 12.
Well, do you have to go to sleep too? Or was that before?
Well, I don't sleep very much, but I will get a couple of hours.
Well, try to get more than a couple hours of sleep a night, okay? Jeez.
And have a good night, freaks. I'll be listening.
You're so nice. Crystal, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming sub Crystal. The longest name in YouTube history. All right. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye. Not Crystal Lake. 2 crystals in a row? What are the odds of that? I got another crystal called in. Okay.
I was just looking at Annie. Is it Annie Gresham's timeline?
No, Annie Cushing. Annie
Cushing. Sorry. Yeah, on the web.
Yeah.
And trying to kind of looking at all the dates and trying to get a sense of, when the tragedy went down, and then what these people did with the bodies. And it kind of, it looks like the last signs of the children was the latter part of September. And all the cast of characters at that point were there in Rexburg, or in the vicinities. Chad was at home with his wife. But then, if that's when, let's say, Alex killed them, the question is, of course, this will all come out, but looking at the timeline, I don't think they would have put the bodies on Chad's property while Tammy was still alive. Do you?
Yeah, you wouldn't think so, but there was somebody made a comment that Tammy was sent off the property on the 4th.
On the 4th.
Yeah, I don't know if that's in the timeline. Is that in the timeline? That part?
Yes.
I rather have one
it
great
is.
person in my life than 20 fakes.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Just a second. Let me see if I can.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can load that up. Here's Annie Cushing's timeline.
Yeah.
So October, does it say October 4th? Tammy
Yeah,
Daybell.
October
Oh, yeah, there it
4th.
is. See right there. Tammy Daybell visits parents in Springville, Utah, allegedly at Chad's urging. Okay, so that might be a time when they would have buried them on the property. And that's why on the 2nd, see, listen to how perfect this works. On the 2nd, they remove the seat and the tire from the vehicle to make room for something. Okay? Then Tammy gets sent away. Then they go get that something, the bodies probably, and drive them to the house, bury them. Then when she comes back, so I don't know how long she left, like 4 or 5 days maybe. I mean, two days maybe.
Yeah.
And then when she comes back, he's set it up so it looks normal, and maybe she doesn't spend a lot of time in the yard anyways, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly. That's plausible. So I guess that's why there seem to be a number of posters focusing in on that October 4th date. But God, can you imagine what a sweat they were in when the police came on the property to do that search? Of course, that was after Alex was gone and everything. But I mean, Chad and Lori must have been like, "Oh my God,"
Mm-hmm.
They're going to discover the bodies.
Well, it's interesting too because on the 6th, Alex goes to the storage unit by himself. I encourage everybody to look at this because when you go through this, I've done it a couple times, but I don't remember every single one because there's so many freaking. You know what we should do one time is we'll just do a show and go over this entire timeline. I think it would really, because the way we think about it here, you really start figuring stuff out. I think there is something to do with October 2nd in the storage unit, and then her leaving on October 4th, Tammy. Then the bodies are buried then, and that's weird. And then then they have to kill her pretty quick. If you notice, on the 4th, let's say it was the 4th or 5th that they buried the bodies, because I don't know how long she left. Then there was an attempt on her life just 4 days later, because we don't want her stumbling upon this. We got to get her out of here, right? But that didn't work. And then 10 days after that, she dies in the middle of the night sleeping.
Yeah, when now, where the children were, you look back on these dates now, and you kind of put all the other dates out of your mind, Vallow and all of that, and just focus on this time frame, because in terms of prosecuting them, they're going to have, if both of them claim it was Alex, they're going to have to show a nexus of some sort. I mean, they still can be, sent away for life for participating, being co-conspirators, like that guy who hired people to kill his wife a couple years ago. But they're going to have more of a nexus between, and it's going to be, it looks like, right in this time frame of trying to show that the three of them were operating together, even if Alex actually, committed the murders. The other thing is, I've always wondered about, these two shots where Alex allegedly shot at Melanie Boudreaux's husband, and then he took a shot at Tammy. My understanding from the descriptions is in both cases he was relatively close. Was he just a bad shot? Or,
well, that's the thing. That's the thing.
But,
was he really that shitty?
Yeah, or was he were they just supposed to be trying to scare them? I mean, I can understand it in the Boudreaux situation. He was just trying to scare Boudreaux, like, you better not give my niece any more trouble, or But I can't understand taking a random shot at Tammy. Apparently, he actually got out of the car or something like that, and was within spitting distance, as they say, of her. So if he was just shooting to scare her, what was the point of that? I don't know. That event of shooting at her, I just I don't get it, because it certainly sounds like he was well within range. if that was his intent. But at any rate, it certainly looks like that's the time frame. All three of those characters were together. You know, they've been seen together. They're at the storage room, etc. I would imagine that's where the cops are really focusing in on there.
And here's one of the things. What was I just looking at? It was the source. Yeah, right here. See, my thing about when Tammy got shot at with the, quote, paintball gun, which is probably a silencer, you know, I want to know what she told the police. Exactly. So we got her Facebook comment, but what was her comment to the police? I want to know if Chad was the one. Like, I want to know the story, because my picture is this: is that there was an attempt on her, and maybe it just misfired or it didn't work, whatever. But it was with the silencer. And then Tammy goes, "Oh my God, yeah, this guy, he had this thing, had this thing in the end." But Chad already knew what it was going to be, so he told her, "Oh, it was just a paintball." I want to know if he's the one that put the idea of it being a paintball gun into her mind, because I really don't even think she doesn't seem like a person that's really into knowing what paintball guns are. She doesn't strike me as somebody that knows about paintball shooting. So it seems like Chad would have been the one that said, "Hey, that was just a paintball gun. Don't worry about it." Yeah, those goofy little kids, huh? And it didn't work. So then another 10 days later, they came up with a different way, because it would look really suspicious to have her shot again in the same place or something like that, right? It's got to be totally...
Yeah, that makes it... Yeah. And then, you see, after her death, I imagine the children, the adult children, would have been at home a lot, at least for those first couple of weeks before Chad and his, Lori took off for their Hawaiian marriage. So, there would have been a lot of people around the property. That would have been a more difficult time for them to move the body to the property if they had them in some other place, some staging place. So, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess it is, if this 10-4, where Tammy went to visit her parents for, say, a 1 or 2 day period, and none of the adult children, although I think their youngest is like college age, was at home, that would have been a perfect opportunity to transfer, the children to the property. And now, as to when the actual murder took place, I don't know. And then,
I want to know why he was visiting that storage unit on the 6th, because that's going to be after they put the bodies on that property, if this theory's correct. So what was he dropping off there? He doesn't have anything to do with the storage unit. That's Lori's, and Lori's storage unit, right? With Chad or something.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah. Of course, he was driving around theoretically at that point, already driving around Tylee's Jeep. Yeah. Because that's what he was using for these assaults. So one thing it really looks like it's a pretty tight time frame there for the last final days of September up to, let's speculate, 10-4, where they actually moved the bodies to the property where the murders took, time frame where the murders took place. And then there may have been some period of days where they had, God only knows where they had the body. They could have had him in Lori's townhouse.
Yeah.
Because she'd already dismissed the nanny and told everybody the little boy wasn't coming to school anymore or whatever. But my God, to be simultaneously planning that wedding.
Well, maybe they need to check some of those Ring doorbell cameras at night.
Yeah.
But that doesn't sound, I don't think, that doesn't seem very smart. I mean, I know they're not geniuses, but even that, putting bodies in their own apartment to then put somewhere else seems a little...
Then what would they have done?
I don't know.
Taken the children someplace else?
Well, I mean, they could have killed him in the woods somewhere and just left him there for, like...
God, I hope not.
And just went back and got him again. Something like that. Something simple like that.
Yeah, but to have all that going on during that period of time, you know, all that horror, and then at the same time she's ordering wedding rings, and of course they were then must have been actively plotting Tammy's death.
Yeah, then they go to Hawaii.
They were,
and
I mean, they were
just
completely psycho.
I mean, look at the smiles on their faces. You know, it's crazy.
I mean, and then, like I said, Tammy passes away in her sleep, seemingly nefariously, given the timing. And then all his family is there in the house. And meanwhile, he knows full well those children are buried on the property. Just what? You could look out the window and see them.
Yeah.
It's now that we know where the children were, I mean, and it's definite. I mean, I think we all hope that, you know, they would be found in some prepper place, you know, alive. But now that the sad truth is known, and looking back on, you know, this period of time and what they were doing, it's horrifying.
Just look at this picture right here. You know, you see Chad and her dancing, just absolutely happy as you could possibly be, just 2 weeks after Tammy died, and just a month or so after they've wiped out 2 kids. You know?
Yeah, I think, you know, with what the police figuring they know like 100 times more than what we know, this time frame looks like when it happened, and it's going to be very, very hard for Chad and Laurie to point at Alex and say, we had no idea, you know, he did it, because the question's very simple. Well, where did you think your children were during those days? And up to you taking off for Hawaii. I mean, that, you know, that would be the easy thing for a prosecutor to do in front of a jury. You know, How can she possibly say she had no idea Alex did this?
You know, I was just wondering though. You know how they've got these the big smiles going on here.
Yeah,
it's like, see, if Alex did kill them, you know, maybe even at their wishes. I mean, I'm not even gonna say maybe, at 100% their wishes.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's a little more understandable that they would have the ability to smile a little bit. You see, because if you did it yourself and then you look at it and go, God, what a bunch of barbarians. I mean, they're still barbarians, but it's not quite the same level. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get.
You didn't have your hands in it.
I get your point.
It's that sort of, with their zombies, okay, great, I don't have to see them again, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, and then I don't know. It's just, I'm just sort of picturing it.
No, it's crazy, but I understand what you're saying. They could distance it. They could kind of psychotically distance themselves from it. Yeah, I mean, again, now that we know what we know, i.e. exactly where the children were, when you look back on this timeline, it's like they were in a frenzy of insanity, you know, contradictory kind of narratives going on here, murder and marriage, you know, and then they returned, and I guess must have thought, what? They returned to Rexburg after the marriage for like 3-week period, but of course stuff started hitting the fan in terms of JJ's grandmother, you know, starting to say, what the hell's going on here? But what do they think? They were going to return to Rexburg and it was just all going to be okay?
But I think, you know, but you got to admit, Alex is a great patsy for all this, though. I mean, he really, I think a good defense attorney, you get Baez in there, oh yeah, and you got to come clean. You go, we did talk about that stuff all the time. We talked about, you know, and here's what Laurie can even say about Charles. You know, I always thought that was self-defense, but you know what? Now that I think about it, he thought Charles was a zombie too. And oh wow, and then she could play this whole sort of angle like that. You get what I'm saying?
I know. I know, but I don't think Charles is even going to come into this then when they get to the actual the trial.
Oh, I do.
This is all going to be about
the defense is going to use it.
It's going to be about
No, but the defense is going to bring Charles up in a second and pin it on Alex as, look at what Alex was doing. Alex was trying to he killed Charles because he thought Charles was a zombie. And Lori can actually make a, if she testifies, could go, God, I always thought it was self-defense. But now that I think about it.
No, but
I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, but my point would be, okay, so the defense brings up, well, Alex did it. The prosecution could say, yeah, Alex may have done it, but that's not what we're prosecuting these two for. We're prosecuting them as co-conspirators.
Right, yeah, I mean, that's in there, but that...
And to the jury, you just say, and if they weren't co-conspirators, then where did this woman think her children were for the 3 weeks leading up to when she and her husband
I already said that earlier.
I
said that earlier in the show. I said she could just say, after Alex, we didn't realize that Alex was really believing this stuff. And then I'm just going with what they're going to be able to say. They're going to say, they could easily say that Alex killed them because he believed this theory that they were zombies, but, they didn't think anybody was going to kill anybody. Okay, because all 3 deaths can be explained the same way. Watch this. You could just go, wow, yes, we did. We taught these things. We taught that people are zombies, and the only way to free the souls that are in limbo is to kill the spirit. Yeah, we taught those things, but we didn't think anybody was going to actually follow through on it and do it. And then now that I think back, we had said Charles was a zombie. Nick Schneider, for example. I thought it was self-defense, but now when I think back, it could be that he killed him because I wasn't in the room, that he killed him because he was a zombie. And then what was the part that you would counter with about, they're co-conspirator? Well, see, but this takes it completely out of that. The whole thing. They could sit there and claim that they didn't realize that he was going to do this, and this is the part. And then the bodies on the property, they said once Alex killed them, they didn't know what to do. They were panicking because they didn't want to get in trouble because they've had these weird theories. So they buried the bodies, and then they went to Hawaii because they were panicking and scared. Like the idiots who say they chop body parts up once there's a death in their house because they didn't know what to do. So they could do something stupid like that. They could literally say that they just panicked. And how would you disprove that? Something like that.
Well, it would be a circumstantial case.
No, it's Nick. It's Nick Schneider, not Ned.
Yeah. You would show the 3 of them, even if they're under fear. I mean, it would be like Chad. What's he, like 6'2"? And Lori, they don't seem to be acting under. It's not like in these shots where they are going to the storage unit. Alex has them at gunpoint or something. They had plenty of opportunity under that theory to report the murders.
Yeah, I know they had opportunity, but see, that's where, okay, you really should have reported it. Okay, but wow, so Alex just killed them, and you guys didn't tell him. If they get a good attorney and they don't come up with way better stuff than just sort of the overview that we're seeing, I'm sure they're going to, different emails, electronic transmissions, and things that really sort of paint the picture. A good defense attorney can easily put this all on Alex's shoulder and even paint a history of violence. Look at this. He tried to kill Joseph Ryan with a stun gun in 2006. Look at this, man. He killed Charles. And now we believe, see, the defense could make it seem like they're noble now and come out and go, we believe now that Charles was killed because Alex believed he was a zombie. Lori thought it was self-defense. She didn't know. So then later when he killed the kids, she then realized she killed the kids because he thought that they were zombies. And then we panicked. I'm sorry, everybody. We panicked. You're right. We dug the holes and we buried them, and then we flew off to Hawaii because we just didn't know what else to do. We needed to get out. You know, you see what I'm saying? They would do it a lot better than I'm doing it. And I'm not saying I believe what I'm saying right now. I'm telling you that that's what a defense might be. Now they're, hey, Gray, did you hear Gray? He said that Alex was, you know. I'm just giving you the...
No. I agree with you completely. I don't think that's going to be strong enough to support. I mean, a jury is not stupid. And when both sides are shown on them, and it'll be a circumstantial case, assuming either Lori or Chad don't go state evidence.
Yeah. It might not convince a jury.
Then, you know, yeah, exactly. You know, the other thing I think is interesting coming up is I think they're going to have to change the charges against Lori now, just as a technical legal matter, because she's being held for disobeying a court order to produce the children. So they're going to have to roll charges over on her like they put on Chad now.
Right. But there's one thing I will say is in Rexburg, in that area, it's a highly Mormon community, and you might have some sympathetic, you know, sort of listeners in there. And, you know, all you have to have is one idiot on a jury, right? And then it's a hung jury, and then you wait again, And so that's what makes me nervous, because the society... There's a lot of really dumb people in society, okay? And a lot of them actually end up serving on juries, and you get these crazy outcomes sometimes. I mean, look what happened, again, when you look back at Casey Anthony. You had Baez. He did a phenomenal job, and there isn't a soul in this chat right now, if you were in the same situation as, what was her name, Stacy, whatever the hell her name. You wouldn't, you would all want Baez as your attorney to get you out of that situation. There isn't one of you that wouldn't want that, right? What was her name? Tot Mom? What the hell is her name? I can't remember. Jesus, my brain's not working right now. But.
Yeah.
You get the right attorney in there, and boom,
right.
You know, people get sold a bill of goods sometimes. I know exactly what you're saying. You know, you would hope. God, I mean, who's going to be that stupid not to actually believe this whole thing? That Alex was just some rogue killer believing the, you know, the teachings of a cult.
Yeah. Well, it's all going to be on, you know, if they can, in this critical little window of time that we've looked at, if that is the critical window of time, how much evidence the police can drum up that ties Chad and Tammy and Alex together.
God, but the timing
in
of,
a way that does.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but the thing is that the timing of Alex's death makes it so hard to do a lot of that stuff, because he died way after he died after they had already gone to Hawaii, so you can then place him anywhere you want to in Rexburg, right?
Right.
See, isn't that crazy? Think about that. See, he's sort of around, and he married. Where did Zulema Pastines live? Where was that? Was that
Arizona?
Okay, so
I think the timeline shows that he left Rexburg at the same time they left. Okay. You know, they came back from the marriage. Then there was the 2 or 3 week period where all of a sudden JJ's grandmother is saying, you know, what's going on? And she's starting to do outreach. Then they, you know, and there's an actual Rexburg welfare check. And that's when they disappear. I think he went to, Alex went to Arizona at that point.
There it is. November 27th is the approximate date Alex Cox moved back to Arizona. But again, it works perfectly for Chad and Lori, right? Because you have Alex, that means he was still in Rexburg all the way up until the time they left. And he was definitely there around October 4th and 3rd, you know, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Well, actually on the 2nd he was probably in Utah taking a shot at Brandon Boudreaux. Or was that Arizona? I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But at that point, the deed was done. I mean, the children are already gone and buried, presumably on Chad's property. But yeah, he didn't hang around Rexburg after they came back from the marriage, which was the latter part of November, and then all the proverbial shit started hitting the fan. He got out of Rexburg at the same time they did. Now, he went down and got married to that woman, but they, if you remember, for weeks, theoretically, nobody knew where they were. Because I remember your broadcast where everybody was speculating, did they go to the Southern California? Did they go to Mexico? Nobody knew where they were. They were incommunicado.
I wonder if there's any information out there that sort of hinted that he needed to kill himself or something. I mean, it's just such the timing of this. 11/27 he leaves. I think he got married on the 29th, 2 days later. Then he dies just 12 days or so after that.
But remember the tie-in to that being coincident with the announcement that they were going to disinter Tammy's body. Now, the thing, you know, I never understood how he could have had opportunity to harm Tammy. But if they knew that they were going to start really investigating, like looking at Chad's house and stuff, that must have really freaked them, knowing that they knew the children's bodies was on the property. And I heard someone say that could have actually, he could have freaked out to the extent that he did have a natural heart attack.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think he's the one that buried him there. See, I think that he literally, I don't know. It's hard for me to really formulate what I'm trying to say. It just feels like Alex probably felt, what I'm trying to say is he felt like like they abandoned him. He was part of this whole thing, right? And then as soon as the shit hit the fan, they flew off to Hawaii. And he's over here by himself. He did get married, but the sister that he was always doing stuff for, the people he believed in, the leader of the cult, and his sister, the two leaders of the cult, they're gone. Right? And so he's probably feeling...
But remember
Yeah, go ahead.
I bet the cops and the FBI were really banging on him. Because remember, again, nobody knew they were in Hawaii.
No, he was saying
during
stuff
that
about
period of time.
I was reading up here, he did say that he was trying to tell the police or FBI that the kids were with the grandmother, Kay.
Yeah. But, I mean... Again, while going along your theory, which it comports with, while Chad and Lori were off in Hawaii, which he may or may not have known, the police and the FBI are looking for them. They didn't know they were in Hawaii. And so they had to have been all over Alex about where are they? When is the last time you saw the children? Where do you think they might go, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, Alex was with Chad, remember? Alex was with Chad when the police came over one time.
But this is after they've disappeared, and Alex has gone down to, Arizona. But still, it's natural that while the police were trying to find them, the police and the FBI, people would have been pointed at Alex, saying, if anybody knows where Chad and Lori are, Alex does. So they must have been just banging him about where are they? He obviously was lying or whatever. I don't know. Maybe he told them where they were.
Yeah, and it's weird that he took the last name of his wife, Alex. You know.
Yeah. And then, so maybe it's plausible that all that pressure, knowing that they were going to be disinterring Tammy's body, which naturally then, they're going to probably get a search warrant for the house, and knowing there's a body that, he just physically.
I mean, it could
up.
be as simple as that the search warrant, the autopsy, we're all sitting there saying, "Oh, Lori said something." But it could be as simple as that property isn't big at all. It's only 4 acres, wide open, easy to... so they could have got the autopsy results from Tammy. They might have got them... I mean, it seemed like they would have got those a long time ago, but maybe the autopsy said that she was poisoned, and at that point, that was probable cause to associate the entire case to Chad, and then they went on there with the dogs. I don't know. It seemed like they would have got those autopsy results way, like 3 or 4 months ago. This whole thing, well, sometimes it takes 5 months. Really? No, not really.
Well,
you guys can speed things up.
Not really, but unfortunately, she was apparently badly decomposed by the time they disinterred her.
Oh, yeah.
So it may be they're not getting much out of that.
How come? That was only two months. That wasn't that long after. It was. She was taken out 7 weeks later. I mean, I know that's a long time inside the grave, but.
Well, I shouldn't say that it's decomposed because I think the problem is, I may be wrong about this, I think she was embalmed.
Oh. I don't know about any of that, but.
Well, if she was, then, that apparently, just from a biochemical point of view, changes the whole equation about what you can and cannot find. But I've seen things on chat boards where people are saying that maybe one of the neighbors saw Chad recently engaged in some activity in that spot on the property.
Well, I mentioned something like that, but maybe they were looking, monitoring him and saw him kind of fiddling around and looking under a pile, thinking nobody's watching him. And you think, well, why is he looking under a pile? Whatever that pile is that was there. That's just what I speculated on. I don't have a clue what it looked. That might have been. I was just looking at a satellite image as well, so it might have looked totally different there. It looks like they erected a couple poles and into an H. Somebody mentioned in the chat one time. I don't know what that was. Like what that thing was, but.
Yeah, but they obviously. Well, like you said, it may have just been chance. They went to the most logical place, and boom. There were the remains, but it'll be interesting. I mean, sooner or later they'll I assume, make public the search warrant, and that'll have to show what was the basis for them getting that warrant for Tuesday morning.
Yeah, it looks like there's some.
So anyway, listen.
Yeah. we always have good discussions. Sometimes we get the thing where we're talking over each other, but it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Well, you're great, Gray. Really enjoy talking to you. And you did this case. I remember watching you starting to build that chart back before Christmas, because it was at the same time as the Allison Waterston thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. It was right at the exact same time, right? Like literally, I think the 22nd was my first video, December, on this case, where we kind of realized that we needed to start building a chart right off the get-go, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger,
and nobody else was doing it, and that's why Kay got in touch with you. Kay and what's her husband's name?
Larry. I don't know. I don't remember how we got. I don't even remember how we got in contact. I might have contacted them and said, "Hey, you guys got to check this out." I mean,
I remember,
they were excited to come on because we were like the only people on YouTube covering it at the time.
Yeah, and I remember that first conversation because Larry talked to you because Kay kept saying she wasn't used to being, on a public call or whatever, and of course that's flipped now. Kay's very good at communicating.
Yeah. They're experts now. That's for damn sure. But a couple of times I remember when Larry he'd say some stuff like, and then you hear Kay, "Hey, you can't say that," Remember that? That was
yeah. No, but that was early on. Nobody was paying it, and certainly nobody was making a connection to this whole crazy web of wickedness the way you were. And so congrats on you're part of what created the pressure for everybody looking at this, because they could have gotten away with it if it had all kind of just stayed, in Idaho, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I wouldn't, necessarily give myself credit for that kind of like pressuring everybody, but I mean, I think we were able to get the story out, slowly in a way that, we kept repeating it, going through it, and then it's like the story that's accurately told. It's amazing. Today I was on like Crime Online's Facebook page, and they actually put an article out and said that JJ was the half brother of Tylee, and I said they're not even related. Okay, they're not even. There's no blood relationship at all between JJ and Tylee whatsoever. Okay, and then people go, well, what does that matter? It really. And then they started making all these other comments, and they were so inaccurate. I even said, I go, man, you guys should have been watching my channel. You guys would have a hell of a lot more information. It was just really strange, you know, like how little they knew, but they were all chatting away like they were experts. It was really frustrating. Classic social media encounter, though.
Exactly. I think too, one of the motivations of this pair, aside from all their, crazy self-delusion or purposeful self-delusion, was just an insurance scam. I mean, he got the $400,000 from Tammy, and I'm wondering, once Tylee, I wonder how much Tylee had left from when her father died, because I think her father, which it wasn't $400,000, it was like 80 or 100,000.
I think she got like 70,000 from Joseph Ryan. That was on one of the shows. We have one call. I gotta see if I can find that. I don't know if I still have it, but remember when the daughter of Kay called in? That was crazy. She was telling us all kinds of stuff, like inside baseball stuff, and then they came on to sort of say, hey, we can't. Yeah. She doesn't speak for all of us or something, But it was like she gave us a lot of good stuff. I don't know where that is now, though.
Yeah. Yeah, because she clarified a lot more about kind of how in the heck did JJ end up with Laurie? Because that's a long series of events.
Yeah, that was a lot of people still don't have a clue about that, but that's why JJ's not related to Laurie whatsoever or any of them. It was basically Charles is Kay's brother. Kay had a child who then, grew up and was with some lady, and they were doing drugs and had a baby named Joshua, JJ, right? And then the state said, hey, we don't want them to take care of this child. They can't do it. And then asked Kay, and they were going to, but then Charles stepped forward and said, you know what, I think it'd be a better match if we took JJ in, because we've already got other children, and it just works out better. All right. So then Charles adopted JJ, and JJ is Charles's great nephew, I think is what you might, or maybe you could say Charles is the great uncle, of JJ, and Kay is actually the grandmother of JJ.
Yeah, Kay is definitely JJ's, probably, not nearest blood relative, because his parents would be his nearest blood relatives, but nearest one willing to take guardianship of him would have been. But anyway, no, you've done an awesome job on organizing, all those facts and keeping it out there. And I would hope at some point Kay and her husband will reach out and thank you for that.
Yeah,
once they get over their grief.
Yeah, maybe I might send something to Larry. I know he likes scotch. So I'll probably send him some at some point.
Yeah.
It's just I think I removed that video of the call-in night when that because they wanted me to.
Daughter.
Yeah, when the daughter called in.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if I have it anymore. I probably should have downloaded it. I wasn't thinking about it like that, though. It was just.
Yeah. Well, she did. Looking back on it, you've got all the facts that I think she talked about from other sources. I mean, but yeah, at the time she was kind of connecting some of the family dynamic dots, which weren't immediately obvious, aside from Laurie's whole family dynamic dots. But yeah, you've done a great job, and a sad conclusion for sure. And now we'll just see what the legal system does with this pair.
I think
God
what I'm
forbid
gonna do,
they both.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go through this timeline though on Annie Cushing's. We'll just go do one more show on it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe tomorrow we'll just go through this whole thing and then try to sort of, because it might lead us thinking something else. You know, I've gone over this a few times, but it's, you know, a week later. This is so complex. But I think if we did it in a short sort of stint, we might be able to think of something using it, right?
Right.
So.
Right. And I wonder, well, she's probably in mourning at the moment, but I wonder if, you know, with regard to the timeline, that Miss Gresham wouldn't come online with you.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think it would just sort
like
of, I think it would slow it down a little bit because she'd want to explain each of the times, where I just want to see what she wrote and then we can kind of keep going through it. But maybe later.
And they're in mourning now, so nobody wants to reach out to them anyway. You know, that wouldn't be appropriate probably.
Yeah.
But anyway, great to talk to you.
Well, you too. Thanks for calling in. Interesting. Good stuff.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime detector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector, here's my nectar. Professor Green's gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector. Fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temper fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Talk to you.
Hey, John Boy, I heard you trying to rap too.
Well, I've heard you do it so many times, I thought I would try to join in.
Yay, that was so neat, John Boy. You're so cool. Wow, what a crazy night tonight, right? A lot of trolls, a lot of weird, triggered people.
Wait, how do you know the word triggered? That's weird.
Well, I don't know. I just hear it all the time. Yay! All right, John Boy. Good night.
Good night, Mary Lou. Wow. I'll have a little bit more coffee next time.
Wow, I didn't have any coffee at all. I was just excited. You're so mean.
Wow. Those two they're a little bit nuts. You gotta admit.